friends. Welcome back to another episode of House Rules. I'm your host, Rachel LaForce.
I am your other host, Alex Getlin.
Guys, welcome back. This is the podcast where this is a conversational podcast for conversationalists
Who love conversations.
That's what we do.
As
we
you guys
talk about stuff.
The past few weeks, you've been kind of trying to narrow down what this show is. You know, we love talking to different guests. We love talking about different subjects. But we've had a few folks be like, what is your show?
Basically, everybody wants the log line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's like, what is it, though? So we're streamlining. We're figuring out. We're kind of thinking about a rebrand.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Lots of fun stuff. But for today, you guys, I am so excited. So we have had so many fun guests. But today, we have the marvelous, the iconic Marilyn Vance. She has done costumes for such films. Maybe you've heard of them, like
just a couple, like Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Pretty in Pink.
What?
Roadhouse.
I know.
Die Hard 1 and 2.
She's here.
Predator 1 and 2.
Get out.
Pretty Woman.
I'm so excited.
I mean, I could keep going, but I think we should hear from Marilyn, right?
Guys, please welcome Miss Marilyn Vance.
Hi. Thank you.
Yeah, Marilyn.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for being here. And you have a great podcast called Designing Hollywood.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. I've helped you guys out a little bit with some of the production stuff, and I know you've had some really great guests like Ruth Carter, who did all the costumes for Black Panther, first episode ever. Yeah. So if you guys like this podcast, you're like, wow, Marilyn has such great stories. It's so fun. Go check out Designing Hollywood. There's so much good stuff on there to listen to.
That's what we're trying to bring that out in these designers who, this is the perfect time, the pandam, to have people.
The pandam, I love it.
Yeah, to talk about, you know, what they do, and you see who they are. Because most people have seen everything these artists have made,
Right.
you know?
Well, we were talking about that at home before we came in, and most people don't even consider the amount of detail and work and how much of the story really is told through the costumes.
It's so true. It
Yeah.
really is. It's, I'd love to give you an example, but the best example is, I guess, Bruce Willis and his T-shirts in Die Hard, where I had to have 17 of them already in destructive, you know, coming from the beginning to the end in what it's going to look like in the last scene. And then I had to have the stunt guys 17 matching each scene that it would, you know, be in.
Sure.
Because he was in that practically, you know, the entire movie. But it was a very interesting aspect because they don't always shoot in sequence.
Yeah.
They'll call you
Right.
and they'll go, hey, we want the 12th. Get the scene 12, you know, and okay. How do we do that? This guy, it's unbelievable. That was a very interesting project for
Sure.
me.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so
Because-
iconic.
Yeah. Well, also because they were foreigners. And at that time, it's a long time ago,
Yeah.
we didn't have like the cool Eddie Bauer. We had Eddie Bauer and we had, you know, Big Five. And you
Right.
couldn't really get the right kind of winter jackets or coats here.
Interesting.
So I wound up traveling to Europe.
Okay.
I said, these people are from there. Let me just go and figure that out, you know, and bring back some stuff. People go, oh, you're going, oh, you're going to have such a ball. I said, no. I'm going to be working, and it's going to be worth it, you know?
So you went to Europe just to do research for Die Hard.
No, to buy the terrorists clothing.
Oh, wow.
Because we...
Got it. I understand
Yeah, so
now.
she was
Okay.
saying because they were all foreigners, but all we had was like Eddie Bauer.
Now
She's
I-
like, yeah, I can't just go and get them an outdoorsman jacket.
Sorry, I follow now.
So
yeah.
she was like,
wow.
I mean, talk about the work where she's like, all right, I'm going to go to Europe
Yeah.
and straight up get the things I
Man.
need.
And now you just like Postmates and Amazon anything you want instantly, right?
I know, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I really, I had to travel to get what I
Yeah.
needed. There's other stories that I'll tell you about. What do you want to hear next?
Well, I have so many questions, but first, before we jump into all that, why don't you just tell our listeners, how did you even get into this? You know, you have such an amazing resume.
Oh.
Did you grow up as a kid dreaming about making costumes for movies? Like, how did you start?
Oh boy, yes, I always loved. No, I never thought about film. You know, I was involved with rock and roll.
Okay.
My husband at the time, my boyfriend, then my husband, and it was a different kind of life than most young people have. You know, he'd be traveling. He was in a singing group called Jay and the Americans at the time. Yeah. And it was interesting. But I met a lot of interesting people through him. He did the music for Animal House, and he did the music for what is the music for? Oh, shoot.
It doesn't matter.
You can it's okay.
Don't even worry about
Don't
it.
worry. So
Marilyn Vance, you can do whatever you want on our
Okay,
podcast.
thank you.
We're so glad
Animal
you're here.
House and another film at the time, perhaps.
Warriors.
Okay. Oh, the Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And so one
Two
night,
classics.
Yeah.
one night, he says, they're shooting in Brooklyn. We lived in Bell Harbor, which is over the bridge from Brooklyn.
Right.
We lost our house in the storm.
Oh, wow.
Sandy, yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Well, he was living there all these years. But so I go with him to the cemetery, and we see the scene that they're doing.
Sure.
And I get introduced to one producer first, and another producer, and I don't know who anyone was, but it was very nice, you know. And it was interesting to watch them shooting a scene. So after that, one of the guys from Universal, he was one of the heads, a young guy, was getting married, and he's from North Carolina. So we wound up going to North Carolina, and I met all the Universal people, and it was just very interesting. And I always made my own things. I just was always doing something.
Like your own clothing that you wore.
A lot,
Yeah.
yeah, because I really, you know, I'd make a leather jacket. I'd make these funky things.
That's fun.
Well, I never could, you know, I wasn't one of these quiet types that could just hang in and wait for things to happen.
Sure.
No.
We understand that, definitely.
I'm
Mhm,
sure.
that resonates.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But so meeting those people was very good. There were a lot of directors there because all these guys from Universal that were the heads, the vice president, the president, you know, all of that ran the studio that I got to meet. I had no idea who I was meeting, but it was great. The next thing I know, the same guys come up to a showroom that I had because I was playing around with clothing, and I had a hat company because I like, you know, the
That's
different
cool.
characters. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, for people just listening, Marilyn has a great hat on today. I always see you in a hat.
Yeah. I'm hiding my hair. And
It looks great. It's a great hat.
thank you. This one's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore my best one to come here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Ooh, we feel so
Yeah.
honored.
Okay.
What would you say? Okay, so you.
So I'll make this real fast.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a showroom off 7th Avenue, and they had my crazy hats. You know, my father had a millinery company, and I got hooked just being creative. You know,
Yeah.
I was always doing something. And one of the younger executives was the one from North Carolina that
Yeah.
we went to his wedding, was getting involved with a friend of his. They were buying a baseball team.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So they bought, isn't that wild?
I mean, it's a pretty big purchase. You know?
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't happen too often.
Well, it was like a farm team.
Oh,
but
okay.
For the Atlanta Braves.
Still pretty
Oh,
cool.
interesting.
They came and they said, you know, what do you think about this? And I said, what do you mean? What do I think? I don't know. I'd love to fix them. I don't like the way these guys look. They said, well, what would you do? I said, I would just make their clothing make their uniforms the right way and have a different logo and, you know, just so kind of, they're young, they're hot, you know, you want to.
Zhuzh it up.
Yeah, and the Atlanta Braves owned that farm team. They still play.
Sure.
It's like, yeah. So they said, okay, why don't you try your hand at designing? Give me some pieces, give me some looks. So I
Wow.
did 3 variations of the uniform. I used spandex, which is, you know, but not to fit like
Sure.
a stocking, but just
Right, yeah.
because it didn't crease, it didn't it was cool, a cool item for them. And then every time I went to North Carolina, because I had to go back and forth, there were tobacco fields everywhere. I said, okay, so now the colors are going to be royal blue, tobacco, and white.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Wow.
And I designed them, and also the logo, the bull jumping through the D.
Yeah.
I love
Cool.
that. Yeah.
You know what I love most about that story is that by designing uniforms for a professional sports team, it got you this career
Yeah.
in Hollywood. And it's just a great example of like, you never know where an opportunity will lead you.
Don't.
Because you could have, someone not as wise might have been like, I don't want to do baseball uniforms, forget it. But you said, no, let's try this. It looks like a great opportunity.
I love the challenge.
Yeah.
If you challenge me, I'm there. Why not, Why not?
That's
So,
great.
yeah. So anyway, I finished the uniforms. I got introduced to an incredible, he was like a dressmaker, seamstress, a tailor, the most incredibly talented person. And he cut the uniforms for me. I did the sketches. We did everything. Sent their ID,
Yeah.
big patches, out to be done, to be copied, because I had an art director do the drawing, so it was really perfect for them to do the logo. And the colors, it really was working out great.
Yeah.
And that's, Hank Aaron came to Universal
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
to bring the baseball uniforms
Sure.
for the farm team.
Yeah.
He was the spokesman for the Braves.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of,
Yeah, of course. Right.
But it was really interesting. And, when I spoke to the people, the heads, Ned Tannen, may he rest in peace, was the man that I had a lot to talk to about. He was lovely, and he was interested in, after the uniforms, which he had nothing to do with, his other executive did. He started thinking, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd love to design. I would love it, Okay, well, we'll see.
I mean, I think getting a stamp of approval from Hank Aaron is pretty legit.
Wait,
for
so
many.
then what was the first film that you did?
Jekyll and Hyde together again.
Wow.
How was that?
That was pretty weird. Yeah, it was very weird.
So when you were on set, like being your first film, was it so foreign to you?
It was so crazy. I forgot the actor's name. I'm embarrassed. But to be Jekyll and to be Hyde, I had a great idea. I said, I have an idea. Okay, you know what? He's going to wear pleated pants when he's Hyde. And when he's Jekyll, they're going to be straight. No pleats.
Interesting.
So I went to, Fred Siegel's actually out here, and bought the gabardine slacks. And that was the first thing I felt, okay, this could work, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I had no clue. I just was going by what I thought was right. And nobody was stopping me. Because
You must have been doing something right.
Well, that's my first film. But before that, the studio called and said, we know you want to design. We know that. So you're going, if this designer likes you, you could work for her. I said, if this designer likes me, I could work for her. And one of the guys said, do you have an ego problem?
Wow.
And I said, no, I'm just surprised.
Sure.
That's all. I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So they put me with her, and it was unbelievable. We would sit in a meeting, like a room this size. It was for the movie Xanadu.
I have not heard of that one.
It's with Olivia Newton-John. It was a Broadway play, and then they made it a movie.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's pretty iconic.
So what? Finish that. I'm sorry.
No. So they put me on. Well, if this designer likes you, then you could do you could be her assistant. So I meet with her, and she already has an assistant. I said, you have an assistant.
Right.
What is going on here? And I was the second assistant. She had a sketch artist, her other assistant, and me. And we would be in a meeting, and there's all these chairs and all the guys basically, and her, and then me and the sketch artist in the back. And we sit in the meeting, and she'd go, I'm cold.
Okay.
Right. To jump and
Oh, I see. So she wanted like a...
It was so humiliating. You have no idea. Then we go back. I'm in the back of the room again, and she goes, I'm hungry.
Oh, and she would just look at you like you're supposed to run her errands.
But I did. I had to. I had to pick her up every morning.
It's like pledging a sorority almost.
Oh, please. I don't even...
Well, is that not the most accurate description of breaking into Hollywood? I don't know what is.
Well, so I also know, I've heard you talk about when you did 48 Hours with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, you dealt with some discrimination, I guess you would say, from some of the production staff.
Yeah. It was a boys' club.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was just, chicks don't do testosterone. Did you know that?
Is that what they said to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't belong here. This is not for you. Get another, movie, whatever. Why are they putting you with us? They're all costumers, and they're all putting the movie together, and they're all been in the business for quite a while. And, but it was very exciting for me. I won them over, slowly but surely. And it was Eddie Murphy's first film, and he was at the Comedy Club in New York. I can't remember his name, the owner, the Jewish name, like
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's okay.
But Eddie was appearing there.
Yeah.
And my husband at the time was the musical director of Saturday Night Live. And that was Eddie's first season.
Wow.
Yep.
And it was my first real, film.
Yeah.
I mean, that other one was a great...
Sure. Start.
Yeah.
How was it working with Eddie and Nick Nolte?
It was pretty interesting because at the time, Eddie was new.
Yeah.
And I just really liked him. He was such a good guy.
A lot of charisma.
Just very much so. And funny, he had a way about him. He'd walk around and he'd laugh, do that laugh, He's a very, very cool
Very magnetic.
guy. Yeah.
What about Nick Nolte?
He was interesting, a rough rider, really rough.
Sure.
Around the edges.
I'm not surprised.
But I really liked him. He had his wife, Legs, there. She was great also. She was really good people. And with Nick, he had, I hate to do this, he had this pot belly.
Okay.
And
it happens.
And in TV Guide, they had those the trimmers.
Waist trimmers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got one from TV Guide.
That's so funny.
Put it on him because they didn't sell them regularly, It was.
Right.
I saw an ad. Wow. So
I see what you're saying. So for him, you went like there was an ad in TV Guide, and you bought this waist trainer for him. Funny, very funny.
For Nick Nolte.
Okay, that's
yes.
so. Yeah, there wasn't like shapewear for men at the time. Like there
no,
was
nothing.
That's
it was
funny.
Just a little ad in TV Guide. I said, "What a great idea! It'll help him."
Listen, we're in 2020, and a great thing about now is for the most part, people are trying to be more socially aware, but it's just, I cannot imagine, I mean, I'm a man, so I definitely can't imagine, but what it would be like to show up to this job, you've already been a professional on movie sets, you know what you're doing, and they just say to your face, no chicks, get out of here. Like, that's just so demeaning. But I'm glad clearly you won them over.
That was my first, real kind of movie.
And they tried to boot you off the project.
They made my life miserable. They made it absolutely miserable. And I won them over. I was all about the work. I wasn't there to hang out with them.
Yeah.
I wasn't there because I was starstruck. It was the furthest thing from my mind. I was there to make sure Eddie Murphy looked great because his character was written in such a way that I really and truly wanted to make sure that it showed how smart he was.
Totally.
In the script. So in the script it says he was in jail for 4 years. He hid the money. He knew where the money was. He didn't care. He was in jail for 4 years. He'll get out. He'll get his money. He'll be cool. And it also says out of the trunk of his car when he gets out, he pulls out a red satin suit. I said, red satin suit? My God, he's not a pimp. The guy's smart. He's smart.
Yeah.
So another thing, having to present the fact. So Walter Hill was the director, and he said, well, what do you think? Show me. I said, well, I have to do a little digging, but I will show you, because honestly, we're missing a great thing here. To just put him out in a red satin suit after he's in jail at the very beginning of the movie, and he runs around the whole film in this red satin suit.
Yeah.
I just, show us, okay? So I get 4 years, because he was in jail 4 years. So I get 4-year-old GQs and what's the other one?
Vanity Fair? I don't know.
No, men's magazines, the two of them.
I don't know.
Well,
But GQ. So GQ and something
yes,
else.
so I go through that, and in one of them, I find a 4-year-old, because they were 4 years old.
Right.
The editions. I see a suit that is shorter, double-breasted. And I'm thinking, he's going to run around like a maniac, and it won't fly open if he keeps it closed. It's going to,
Right.
He should be presented like as smart as he is, So it says Armani there, which began a relationship with that company. Anyway, I called them and I asked them if they still had the pattern, that I was really interested in making this for, it was 4 years old. This is a 4-year-old story, the guy comes. So I said, would you get me the pattern? Can we work with it? They said, well, you pick out the fabric and we'll work with you. So they gave me everything for $30 below cost.
That's
Wow.
great. Wow.
But 6, because the stunt guy and Eddie. So this is what happened. I had to find a fabric, too, that was conservative. You don't want him to be slick. Now he's in a double-breasted suit, and all of a sudden he could be so slick. So I got a very pale pink shirt, and took a tie and made it very skinny for him. And I picked a Prince of Wales pattern, which is a very conservative guy's kind of suiting. And I called them. I called Armani, and I said, I want to do this fabric, so I'm going to try to get it from Italy and send it to you for the suits. What did I know? I knew how to really dig and make it right. I didn't know there were limitations.
Oh, yeah.
I came on here. I was saying, I can do that. Okay, And so I did the whole 9 yards all the time. I probably knocked myself out more than I even had to.
That's relatable.
Yes.
You know what I love, too,
I was
about
like, ooh, that resonates.
this story, right, is you come onto this film and these guys try to say, oh, it's no chicks, testosterone.
Oh,
get out of here.
yeah.
And then you go on to do Die Hard 1 and 2 and Predator 1 and 2, which are some of the most iconic action
masculine movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
All the guys on, oh my God, Predator. Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, so Joey, can you open that thing I sent you? So we took some screenshots here of some of our favorite films that you've done with some costumes, and we're just going to run through, and I would love to hear some kind of just insights.
And really quick, though, I wanted to say, because this was interesting, where you pointed out, where it was like, wait a minute. So this guy is super smart. He's been in jail for 4 years. Now he's going to get out. We're not going to have him. And also the stakes of having him run around in a red satin suit, as a writer, the stakes go down because it almost becomes comedic because now you're seeing it, right? And so
I had to do that.
The insight of not only people, right? Because that's the other thing of like, okay, like I think not Blue Valentine. Oh, what was it? there's some movie and it's Kate Blanchett and she's like falling apart through the course of the movie. So when she starts and she's in these like Chanel, like very fitted outfits.
I can't think of the
But do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I do.
And by the end, the last shot is her walking down the street. I think it's a Tennessee Williams play. But anyway, she's walking down the street and like her shirt is completely disheveled or whatever. So so we see the journey of her, like you're talking about with the 17 shirts for Bruce Willis. But the awareness that you would have of the piece entirely with that movie, but also the awareness of people. Of like, you know, that's something I think about and something I'm actually working on for myself. Obviously, my style today is just COVID style if I made it out of the house. But of that idea, you know, when I'm going into meetings or meeting with other people, of what do I want people to read off of me? And I think we really underestimate that of like, you are setting the stage. And I forget about that because most of the time I've worked at home during the day and then at stand up.
Well, it's different. That's way different
Right,
than
it's-
going to a studio with a bunch of people, and,
Right.
or going on a set and you're all working and doing. You know, you want to. I don't know. I perceive myself a certain way, and
Right.
then I just did it. You know.
Absolutely.
I never thought about, but you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I just wanted to point that out.
No,
I just
it's-
thought that was so
it's great.
interesting of like,
I mean, you could have saved that movie if they had gone with the original, like just red satin suit. It might have.
No, they wound up firing me anyway, and then bringing me back.
Wait, really? Wait, can you elaborate on that?
Oh my
We'll jump
gosh.
into this in a minute. I would love to
Okay,
hear that
the
story.
48 hours. Okay, I went. It was a Sunday, and we're shooting the first day on Monday, and everything is ready for everybody. We're fine. I go with the producers. We go across to Monterey, and we go to this outdoor restaurant. We're outside. We're having clams. We're having all sorts, and I got poison. I got truly sick.
Like food poisoning.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
wow.
had food poisoning. We wound up back
Yeesh.
in the hotel. I was on the floor in the room. I think it was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And I didn't stop throwing up. It was a horrible
Yeah,
situation.
we've both been through that. It's the worst
Oh
thing.
my God. And I have to be ready to my first day. It's bad enough I had to deal with those
Oh my
guys.
God.
Then I have to make sure that they're all dressed in their right outfits to
What a nightmare.
kick off the first, day of the film.
Yeah.
I get down there, and I was they had to come for me at my room. They came and got me. They brought me to the set. I was thinking green and purple. I was horrible. But I noticed that Eddie's tie wasn't right.
Interesting.
So I had to redo his tie. I did it right there, 1, 2, 3.
Nice,
That was
yeah.
it. Yeah. But everything was okay. They wound up firing me
Why?
said-
Did they say why?
because I was late. They had to come get me. I was sick as a dog on the floor in the hotel room. They didn't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're not there. You're
Right.
needed. First day of shooting.
Have you seen
San Francisco, by the way.
that it's gotten better over time with those kind of things, or that's still pretty much how it is?
I think it's way different now.
Yeah.
Because there's a different attitude.
Right.
About filming. And we also, like Eddie Murphy is black. And there's a certain amount of respect, and we had a couple of black guys on the crew.
Sure.
But not a lot. It's usually all white faces and
Yeah.
everything. And it was all, the whole thing was fabulous, though. I mean, a terrific director. He's a great writer. The producer was a little cuckoo, but it was okay. We worked out everything. And he was told to fire me. That's it. Get him on the set first day, and your history. And I said, that's fine, because I am so sick.
Right.
It's fine. I fly home. I get a phone call. Come back. We want you to
Immediately.
come back.
that is the most like Los
gosh.
Angeles, just like BS. Like sometimes, like it's just I haven't experienced
you
something like
believe
that.
that?
But just where there's something like that, and it's like you guys have no idea what you want.
Right.
That's what I talk about all the time.
We deal with that when we audition for commercials. It happens a lot. They're just throwing stuff at us, and it's like,
or for most anything. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll get hired for a job, and I mean, my job as a creative is to you throw something to me, and then I make something of it, right? In the same way, they're like, okay, well, if that's not the suit,
Exactly.
what's the
Yeah.
suit? And you're like, well, I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out, right? Like
Yeah.
that is my job.
Yeah.
But it's more frustrating when you like do the job and they're like, I don't know, like that, but like less happy, but like not happy, and you're like, that's not a thing, right? So kind of when they give you that really murky,
Oh, because they don't know. They can't decipher
yeah,
what it is they're thinking to show you.
Yep.
They trying hard to express it and trying to find something that they can compare it to.
Yeah.
To communicate with you.
right.
they're just
right.
bringing you spaghetti in their hands, being like, I don't know, make something of this, you know?
It was pretty. It was a great experience though, because we also worked with a chain gang, real criminals. You know that
wow.
came. Yeah, and then I had the Hell's Angels
Oh,
that
wow.
were acting like the prisoners.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when lunch came, we were outside. We were all the way past San Francisco, and in like
Yeah.
the mountains somewhere, where they're digging, and they have the prison bus where the guys get off, and they were all Hell's Angels for the most part.
Interesting.
So everything I did, they get in here, food online. Come here, get over here. You get your food now. This is crazy. They were so
Wow.
adorable and so charming and so cool.
Yeah.
You know, they really
They were. It sounds like they were more chivalrous than the actual like production staff. To you.
Absolutely.
Go figure, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to jump into this next part. So for the folks that are just listening, we're going to be looking at some great screenshots of all the amazing costumes Marilyn's done. So if you want to see the video, it's always on Skewed Orbit, that Facebook page for our production company. And we always put clips on our Instagram at House Rules Pod. So we had a lot of questions come in from our listeners. We were posting you're coming on the show today.
okay.
We had some fans that have questions. So I'll kind of throw those out as we go through the costumes
sure.
here. But so we talked about this a little bit earlier with the iconic John McClane T-shirt in Die Hard. Yeah. So one question that one of our friends, Sarah Albritton, thank you, Sarah, for sending this in. She wants to know, so when you do a film like Die Hard or like The Breakfast Club, where the characters are in the same costume pretty much the whole time.
Right.
What are some
Ferris
of the...
Bueller, too.
Yeah, exactly. What are some of the things that you kind of keep in mind and focus on with that compared to one of your other films like Pretty Woman, where the character is truly evolving through her costumes during the whole film?
So you noticed.
I
Great.
did, yes.
Thank you. It's a very good point that you're bringing out. A very good point. I'm just so hyper aware of every little thing, that I know is going to be filmed, and the character and the actor and the parties playing. I'm so involved in that. And wearing one outfit, like which one do you want to talk about?
Well, we can start with this one with
Okay.
John McClane and Die Hard. And what I like about this, and Joe, can you jump to the next shot real quick? So even though it's the same character and the same outfit technically, clearly as the movie goes, it's getting from a white T-shirt and covered in blood and dirt and grit, and it's kind of cool.
That's one of the
He
17.
came from the above, the ceiling.
Yeah, the air
He
ducts,
was
yeah.
up there, and he was, that's how he got that way. Anyway, but it was great doing that. Especially Bruce was so cool then. I mean, I don't know what it would be like to work with him now. I really
Sure.
don't. But he was coming off of Moonlighting, or a TV show at
Yep.
the time, and I found him very, very sweet guy.
Yeah.
He seemed to be a really cool guy.
He wasn't quite a superstar yet.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a lot of the controversy of this movie being made, which was they didn't know, like Bruce Willis wasn't an action star yet. He had been
Right.
doing this
Yeah.
TV show, and everybody was like, we don't know if he's going to be able to like pull off this action star. And now we associate him with this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? What's next?
History.
Well, wait, there's one other question the listeners want to ask.
Yes.
Oh.
With Die Hard specifically, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes, it's considered a Christmas movie.
All right, so
There
you
you
guys, you
go.
heard it here first, Internet.
Yes.
Marilyn Vance, the costume designer for Die Hard.
It is a Christmas
All right,
movie.
let's go to the next one. So it's hard for me to pick a favorite, but this is easily in the top 3 for me of your films.
Thank you.
So it's a little bit before my time, but I grew to love The Breakfast Club when I was in high school. I've seen it, I've lost count of how many times. And it's just such an amazing coming of age story. And if you could just kind of talk us through, so the folks listening, we're looking at one of those famous shots of the whole cast. Kind of talk us through how you chose all these different outfits, because we know from the film they have such different personalities that really hit like a demographic of the kind of student at the school.
Well, and even like looking at that image, their archetype just comes through in their clothing.
Yeah. Well, Ali Sheedy, I made everything for her except the big black V-neck sweater that was supposedly her father's. But black was not happening during that time. Not yet. We didn't get the Japanese influx, Yoji Yamamoto and...
Right.
Yeah. So we made her the skirt, made her the purse, the black print, and the scarf. That was a black man's V-neck sweater, oversized. Wow. And tights, tried as much black, because she was the dark character. Black was not happening at the time at all. It wasn't like fashion.
Right.
Yeah. So at that time, it worked great. It turned out that it was kind of, wow, hip. Not, after the film.
Yeah.
But during the film, it made the point,
Right.
Yeah, and hiding in her big hooded.
Let me ask you, when you work with someone, everybody knows John Hughes. I mean, what a legend, right?
Yeah.
And with all your directors in general, do you find more often that they say, Marilyn, you're a pro, go run with it? Or do they give you a lot of direction? We want this, we want that. Like, how much do you find that you're really deciding the costume?
Well, I am. I make it so interesting for them because I have my own little story about each outfit and who they are.
Sure.
From me reading the script and, so what I'm doing is showing them what they wrote, basically.
Interesting, yeah.
And
ooh, that gave me goosebumps.
yeah, because, Molly Ringwald's style, her style changed. She originally had, I wish I could show you their boards.
Oh, yeah.
I do boards. I call them character boards. Most designers call them mood boards.
Okay.
To me, what mood? It's like the look of what I'm going to do. So each one had their own board, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I had to make I had to make his sport jacket because they all fit on the waist, and he's kind of a small guy.
Sure.
So I had the one that, that comes down further, and you got to think of people's bodies and what the action is, and you help their character. Their character tells you what to do.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point that, when I've listened to you on your podcast and I've heard you and the other designers describe, I never considered, like, it's not just the character, but it's also the actor, the actress, and what their body can physically present. So you have to find this, like, it's so important to work within that frame. Like, I remember on the Ruth Carter episode, talked about Chadwick Boseman. He's kind of a, slender guy, but he played this action hero, so she kind of had to design the costume, around that. So it's just very interesting.
She made a suit underneath.
Right,
a muscle suit, not thick, just,
toned.
Interesting.
And that's how, so he looked great. He didn't look overly, muscular, but he looked great. Poor thing.
I know.
Rest in peace. What a tragic loss. Joe, can you jump to the next slide real quick?
So
this is still Breakfast Club. I just wanted to show another.
Oh, sure.
Kind of, them doing their thing.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting too is like, or maybe this is different, but I find like what I like to wear versus what looks good on camera, and they're two different things.
Sometimes.
Right? Like, that's so interesting of, like, especially now with, like, Zoom auditions and stuff, people can't see the way a garment sits on me when I'm in the room. And so then if you're doing a digital audition, it's like, okay, so what do I want to wear that shows you, like, my actual body, right? Like, you want something that looks attractive, but I don't want something that's so slimming, then you see me in the room and you're like, oh, she's not size 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
I want to present my body the way it is. I want to present myself the way it is. So that's always interesting, too, of that same idea of, like, a cropped jacket. You can't do that. It's going to cut them off at the waist. I need something like, that's just so
Just
interesting.
made him longer on top, and also to give him bigger shoulders, cut away the
Right.
the
Yeah, make him look more like a jock.
more
Yeah, bulky.
yeah.
Joey, can you jump to the next one? Okay, so this film,
Oh,
I
that's a shame.
I know you love this movie, Mystery Men. Now, I know it didn't get quite the buzz that a lot of your other pictures have gotten, but I really wanted to. I've heard you talk about it so many times, and I was looking it up. And the costumes here, anybody just listening, please Google Mystery Men costumes because these are really incredible. And the cast, by the way, we've got Hank Azaria, Janine Garoppolo, Ben Stiller. There's some A-listers in there. So kind of just talk us a little bit about Mystery Men because these costumes are so unique and so special.
They were just regular guys.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller he worked with a car parts place. That old woman, she was so great. I put that beret on her that I should have kept myself. It was very pretty, very cool. Anyway, but what I did with them was show each one had a talent. He was furious. He showed, and everything shook when he showed how mad he could get, and it was wild.
Yeah.
And the Raja, when he opened his thing, he had his silverware, his mother's silverware,
Interesting.
in there. Yeah, he was a real mama's boy,
Right.
if you remember the film at all. So that was the beginnings. The transitions they supposedly did themselves. Bill Macy, we made that for him, but he originally started out with something very simple that applied to the shoveler, because that's what he did anyway. So when they get transformed, you add a little oomph, a little of this, a little of that, and you raise them up into, and it was so interesting. I mean, Janine Garofalo was, I wish I had the sketches of all the different
Well, I got one more,
outfits.
Joey. Can you jump one slide ahead?
Yeah.
So this, I thought, with the shoes, too.
We made the shoes, everything. That was the one time, I've never seen this picture.
Really?
I really haven't. Oh, wow.
Well, I just was Googling this morning, putting together all so I just Googled Mystery Men, and I was kind of digging around and picking my favorite ones. But I love this because you really see the ensemble there.
Yeah.
Yeah, William H. Macy and all these guys. It's such a...
The Invisible Boy, the second, yeah.
That was, I think he played Kel on Keenan and Kel.
Yes, he
That's
did.
him,
He did. But what I did with his clothing, because he's supposed to be invisible,
Yeah.
I copied the street scenes, we stenciled and had it all put together. So his clothing he was wearing,
Right.
he was wearing the scene.
That's so cool.
Outside. Yeah, you can't really appreciate that. But not in the beginning. In the beginning, he wound up in like camos, and because he had to be invisible.
So all their, as you said a second ago, but just kind of clarify, so all their costumes reflected their superpowers.
Exactly.
And you're telling the story of their powers through the costume.
And Ben Stiller is so furious, the flames.
Right, he's got flames on his jacket.
When he goes crazy, he's like...
Right.
Yeah. And then you have, look at him, oh my God, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Pee-wee.
Yeah.
No, he was a trip because his superpower was farting.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's so funny.
That was his superpower. You had to watch out. And the shoveler, Bill Macy, also, we turned him into something much more,
Sure.
slick. It was great. We
I just
made
love
everything.
that costume is the interpretation of a fart. That's you know what I mean?
It's so funny.
I love it.
Joey, can you go to the next one? Okay, so this might be your most... I don't know. Do you have a favorite film that you've done, or because for me, if I had to pick one, it's probably Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What we're looking at right now.
That was a great experience, that show, and I made all their clothing. there.
So I actually wanted to ask.
Not really. I got it. I'll tell you.
Okay. So specifically, one of our listeners, Tyler Koski, thank you for sending this question, and he actually owns a replica of that sweater vest. It's pretty iconic. So just with Ferris's sweater vest, what kind of was the inspiration behind that? Because to me, it almost looks like animal print, but it's not. It's kind of this hybrid design.
It's not.
No, it's just this pattern that's all
kind of
over
an
the
80s,
place.
yeah.
But he started. I put a suit. Those pants are Perry Ellis from a suit. They're houndstooth. You can hardly see blue, gray, and black little houndstooth on his pants. Yeah, he wears the suit in the other scene when he goes to pick her up at school, and he has the trench coat over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept him with those pants, and then the Brooks Brothers white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the sweater came from Marshall's.
Okay.
And I cut the sleeves off because I couldn't find anything. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So you made it a sweater vest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And mismatched.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same with his jacket. He wasn't a hitter, tough guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't an athlete.
Right.
He wasn't so terribly studious or weird,
He's just charming.
So I combined all the things and made it the one with 3 colors, the
That's
gray,
so
the white,
cool.
and the black. So it's reminiscent
Yeah.
of certain things. It'll remind you, but it's not.
I mean, and
it's funny now because I feel like that style exists now, right?
Because
like
of
kind
you.
of this like hipster, like mixing, not only like, I mean, I'm a big fan of mixing patterns. I would say that's like my favorite thing, but the mixing of looks, you like this, business guy, and it's so cool.
Does it ever?
And her, I called Gordie Howe to get his, because John Hughes was totally enamored. He had to have that. And I had to call, and he gave us the jersey. He gave us a jersey.
Oh, wow.
So John Hughes was the one who wanted the Red Wings jersey in there.
Totally.
Oh, okay. That wasn't your call.
No, I just helped him.
Sure, okay.
I got it from
And
because he felt his character. That's
Interesting.
And John never asked, anything. That was the only thing
Interesting.
that he ever really.
Is he a really big hockey fan, or he just?
I guess I don't know. He's a strange. May he rest in peace. He's a strange kind of guy. A great guy.
Sure.
Bright, funny, very serious sometimes, and you don't want to approach him. Yeah. And her shorts, those are suede shorts that I made from the British Gurkha shorts. I used to wear the British Gurkhas. Did you ever wear those?
No, but I was like, now I'm like, dude, Sloane's shorts, like I would for sure wear those.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Suede. So I made them out of suede for her. She comes from a rich family.
Yeah.
We made the jacket instead of just a formally, simple. I added the fringe because she's still a kid.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, Marilyn, these, especially with Matthew Broderick and I forget the actress's name.
Sloane's name?
Yes.
I can't think of her name.
It's okay, but for these two characters, you really created something that even now in 2020, like kids wear stuff like that. Like those designs have lasted decades. I mean,
that I know. I think it's
so cool,
incredible. But there was no thought about stuff like that. It's just I do what's right. What I feel is right. I don't like to for any time the fad of the times, the huge shoulders, or I just stayed away from.
That's good.
That stayed away from Thierry Mugler. Stayed away from all those foreign, big, huge designers.
You just went towards Marilyn Vance, right? You just used your own instincts.
I just
great.
knew that it had to be simpler than all that.
Yeah.
You couldn't make a statement, a fashion statement. You're making a character statement.
Right.
Interesting.
Well,
especially because it's like.
Joe, you can go to the next one. It's more Ferris Bueller. I just want to kind of.
Then, it feels like. I mean, just even like looking. I mean, I know, I'm sure it's so hard of like when you're making a piece of art at the time you're making it, right? I mean, I think as artists, we always hope the thing we're making will be the thing, right?
Yeah.
I think artists are lying to you if they're like, I just like create to create. It's like, well, I do too, because I couldn't not create. But I also am always hoping that it will reach a bigger audience that will move people or make them feel a way. But it's so interesting to just like, I mean, I'm also very partial to this because I lived in Chicago for 11 years. So it's like such a love story to Chicago.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But just even these images of them, it's so locked in our zeitgeist. Like it's almost beyond itself, which is just.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I couldn't do.
I have a question.
It's me. I'm a little nutty when it comes to, wanting to be original, but at the same time being in character.
Right.
Very important with the story.
Well, it's your point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is so strong of like, here's honoring the character, honoring what's in the script, and then bringing your sensibilities to it. And that shows with all of these films. Like Alex kept being like, oh, and she did this one, and she did this one, and she did this one. And I was like, oh my God, like, because they are iconic films, certainly. But again, like when we were looking at Breakfast Club, where it was like, and now with like Pinterest and Etsy and all that, right? Like you'll see the Breakfast Club, and then they have, going back to what you're talking about, now there are like character boards for that, right? And people, right? And like
Pinterest,
people,
I know.
right?
I
and
know.
people pin. That was your work of kind of like separating out and creating, even like alter egos of these people 20, 25 plus years after the fact.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Well,
When
you got to go to the character. The character, he's a wealthy kid.
Sure.
He's a character.
Yep.
He, could be any one of those things, and the jacket turned out to be 3 personalities into one. It's just, you just do that. I don't know. I don't think it's just me. I'm sure there are other people that, march to that kind of.
But it's a certain kind of eye, I think. I mean, we see that with comedians, that there's certain comics we'll look at and you're like, they're fine, whatever. But then there's other comics and we're like, oh, they have the thing. There's something special with their, whatever it is, like in your world with design and with us with comedy, however their brain works, there's just something, you can't totally define it, but it's separate, it's special. It's like there's an asterisk next to it.
But I define that as being point of view.
Yeah.
Because plenty of people can be funny. Plenty of people could go, oh, it's 3 teenagers on their day off. We'll throw them in what are teens wearing today, right? And many people could do that. But being able to create something that is, I'm a big character actor. So I love, like, that is such a huge part of, as the actor part of me, of like being able to access that part of like, how would this person, the amount of hours I spent in acting school where they were like, how would this character brush their teeth? How would they do this? Right?
Yeah,
all those
what
exercises.
would they wear?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Right.
So I might, maybe I'm a character actor.
Yeah.
You might.
No.
What slide is next? What do we have?
Yeah. Joe, can you jump 2 more? I think you'll see it.
Did you?
I know. I love. We just don't have a ton of time left. There's 2 other films I want to hit on. One more, Joey.
Did you look at Fast Times at all?
We didn't pull up any, but we can have Joey pull some up if you want. If you want to
No,
talk.
I'm just saying his outfits, and they were very specific. And I have a great story about going onto campuses. I came from New York.
Well, tell us.
Share that with us. Yeah, let's hear it. I would love to hear that.
I came from New York. That was my first real kid film, Fast Times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I came out here, and I go to Van Nuys High School, and I'm carrying my Polaroid. Now, mind you, the Polaroid's as big as this at the time, okay?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And the film is like big as this.
Right.
Yeah.
I go to the campus of Van Nuys High School.
Yeah.
And I start taking pictures with this humongous Polaroid. And I get the cheerleaders and the stoners are hanging out. And they all have their own little groups. And I'm taking pictures because kids all over Chicago, they dress differently than New York.
Yep.
Totally.
New York L.A. is a whole other thing. People don't realize that unless I studied that because I wanted to do the story with the characters. So was very interesting, actually. Anyway, The security guard calls me over, and he said, they want to see you in the office.
Because you're just taking pictures of kids.
Underage children.
Oh, no. How old were you?
Yeah. Why?
I just was curious
Young,
how
same
much.
as she is now.
Well, I know Fast Times. Yes, never
No.
mind. I was just so if you were significantly older, or
No, oh well, I was a woman already. I wasn't,
right?
like
You clearly were not a kid. You couldn't pass for teenagers. What I'm saying.
No,
Right.
no. I'm carrying this Polaroid with film, and I look like I look crazy. Is
Right.
what I look like.
Were the
I'm
kids
grabbing,
confused at all? Were they like, whatever, it's
They
photos?
could care less.
Yeah,
They
right.
were they
Yeah.
had their group of stoners. They were funny. They just like,
And then it inspired you to make Spicoli, and then right.
Well, that's the whole point. Spicoli liked being the surfer thing. That overshirt that he wears.
Yeah.
All the surfers wear those. Yeah.
Interesting.
They're pullovers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like a weave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they got wet or they got cold, they had that. It was pretty cool. So they called me at the office.
Right.
They want to see you. I said, okay. I followed the security guard. They had already called the police.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Marilyn getting. Oh my gosh. dude.
Yeah, it's my first trip out there. I'm telling you, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And they said, listen, I said, I'm doing a movie. I'm working for Universal. I'm doing a film on these kids. I don't know what they look like. I come from the East Coast, and kids don't look this way. And I'm trying. And they said they had already called the police. They had already. Anyway, so they took my pictures. I never got them back.
Oh.
They let me. I got my producers to talk to them. They let me go, of course, and they just kept all the things I was taking pictures of my kids.
Oh man.
That's so. I have so many more questions, but there's a couple more films
Yeah.
of yours I want to talk about before we wrap up.
Sure.
Joe, can you jump one more slide ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, they're all in variations. You don't realize that now.
In the Predator characters.
No, but that's another thing.
Sorry.
The soldiers.
The soldiers.
Okay. There are different aspects, and why one is wearing camo pants and the
Yeah,
other
Joey,
is
go back a
wearing a
slide.
camo hat. It all has different meaning for different places that they come from
Interesting.
in their special forces.
Right.
Because each one was a specialist. One had the cannon, that huge gun.
Mm-hmm.
The other was a radio guy.
Yeah.
They each had.
What was Schwarzenegger like?
Oh, I liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
He was just a good guy,
Sure. And when you work with someone like that, did you have this sense like, oh, he's going to be a super? I mean, I know he was already kind of on his way here, but did you feel like he's going to be a superstar?
I just felt like he's so strong.
I mean, yeah.
Oh my God! No, it was obvious there was something about him
Yeah.
that was special,
Right.
and not everybody has that, But
Sure.
he did. He had that aura.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Indian.
Mm-hmm.
What a character that was.
Yeah.
They just they had different parts of the armed forces that they're
Right.
from with the weapon they carry. One had the cannon, the other had the radio.
That's cool.
The other,
So with something
And-
like, oh, sorry, finish.
Okay, no, just
Okay.
quickly.
Yes.
The vest that
Yep.
Arnold has on. I was doing another film, and I got a call from my producer, who told me what was going on, and they sent the script. I read it, and he wanted to know my thoughts, and I said, I have one thought for Arnold, for the lead character, and
Yeah.
that's having this vest, because they were going to do a bow and arrow with him
Interesting.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I said, I have this idea for this vest,
Right.
and the back part had an extra piece, so they could put the arrows and pull it out.
Very cool.
Everything had to. That's the thing about doing characters and making movies.
Absolutely.
The story tells you, shows you.
I love that so much.
It's a good reminder as a
Joe, can you
writer.
jump 2 slides ahead? Yeah, stop here. Okay, so I have so many questions because this is the Predator, the monster, one of the most iconic sci-fi supervillains ever. So when it comes to this, because there's so much makeup and stuff involved, like that department collaborating with you, like what is that process like?
Well, Stan Winston, may he rest in peace, was a brilliant, lovely man, and he created this. We all, not we all, but like I helped add a couple of little braids to the hair, some stuff like that, that was insignificant compared to, but as a whole, it showed something because they copied it, which was great. But he, a genius, all I could say. Stan Winston, a genius. We had a 7-foot dancer.
Wow.
Wearing the first, he was the first Predator. And he passed away from AIDS.
What is that made out of?
All different materials that were even latex and all different type of stretch.
Yeah.
Things that mesh that you could pile on, and you still find a shape. You still.
Yeah.
This man, may he rest in peace, I said it 5 times. He's a genius. A genius.
Joe, can you go one more slide ahead?
So we made him Rasta style.
That's so cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So to the last one we're going to talk about for now, just because we don't have a ton of time left, but Pretty Woman, I don't think there's anything more iconic than those costumes from Pretty Woman. We talked about it a minute ago, but what I thought was so incredible is through your costume design, you really see her character evolve and grow. And it's such, the story is told through the costumes so much. And it was just like a really incredible thing to see.
You.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you're right. It was. That's how it got laid out,
Well, and even so obviously she evolves and grows. There's the famous scene of do you get paid on commission? Big mistake, huge, right? We all know it. We all love it. And all of her costumes, because she's going to all these events, right? So I'm sure of okay, what would ladies in Beverly Hills wear? What does this look like? But that's a choice. But then also what would Vivian choose without not really knowing, right? She wouldn't really there were those scenes where she's going in and trying on different things, and those montages are iconic as well. So what was that process like for you? And is this one of your favorite films, or it's just one of my favorite films?
It's one of them, yeah. See, those boots she's wearing, I got them out of London.
Wow.
I was with my husband at the time. We were there visiting, and I saw them in a punk window called Nana's.
Okay.
Then we had a Nana's here in Santa Monica, very short-lived. But I saw those boots, and I wasn't even doing the movie. I just saw those boots, and they patent leather heel. Oh my God, those are so outrageous. I love them.
Yeah.
I love that, and I recorded it in my head. I knew those existed. So when it came to doing the film, that outfit she's wearing is. I used to have bathing suits. There was a designer called Rudy Gernreich.
Okay.
And he would put these metal pieces holding up the top and the bottom. So Julia did not have an hourglass figure. Mm-hmm. So to put her in all this tight, just was so tacky. It was, So my mother, may she rest in peace, bought me a bathing suit many years ago, and it was Rudy Gernreich, and it was like that. And I said, you know what? 2 pieces, that outfit. So we made that, and we put the metal thing, and because it was falling in the back, I had to put a metal piece holding those together. So, she didn't have the massive cleavage.
Right.
And
we have another one. Joe, you can go one slide ahead, because there's another one of this outfit here. So And then, so what was the inspiration with the kind of sweater tied around the waist?
We were on. Oh no, it's that band jacket.
Oh, that's what it is.
From the night before, from the night that he picks
jacket,
her up.
Yeah, and he makes her.
Yeah. Gary Marshall wanted her to wear that, and that was it. That jacket. Yeah.
So you must have had such a close relationship with Julia on this film, because there's so many different costumes and stuff, and
she was pretty much a newbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that kind of. I was so busy trying to do the right thing for the character. It's could barely talk to me. To find that polka dot fabric for her dress was, everything was, I don't mean to make it difficult, but I know stuff should be a certain way.
Yeah, that's why you're good at your job.
Yeah, and then I just have to do it. You
Sure.
know, I need it. So each outfit was, it was quite a thing.
Joey, can you go one more ahead? I mean, this right here. Look at that thing. I mean, how that to me is like, if you just think of like pure elegance, this right here, Richard Gere in a tux, and Julia Roberts in that incredible red dress, those like long, those satin
Opera
gloves. Yeah, opera gloves. I mean, look at that, right? And it's so incredible. Like this, just a few scenes before, she's in those hooker boots with that crazy outfit, and then here she's just like going.
It shows how smart she is with each outfit that she had purchased at that time. You see her learning in the manager's office.
I love that.
The spoons, the forks, or how to do. So the whole idea, I just went with the premise of the character, you know, and built that up.
Yeah.
To be special, but you know, you can't. This was a contemporary film,
Right.
but you can't be on the nose when you're doing a contemporary film because fashion comes out. It's already dead by the time the film comes out. So if you go with the styles that are happening at the time, you make a big mistake. You got to take that and run with it for, you know, and create something else, similar but different.
Sure.
That works for the character.
Joey, can you jump one more?
So, yeah, that suit outfit, that brushed silk, I mean, wash silk.
Yeah.
And it's like that coral, almost like burnt orange.
Well, you know, I couldn't do anything that was like her, you know, skin tight and a lot of, you know, she was trying to fit in with this guy.
Yeah.
She was into becoming a lady, and you know, it was just incredible. Making her that polka dot dress was a trip.
The one she wears at the polo match?
Yeah.
I have a dress
Can you go one more ahead, Joe?
that I purchased from Anthropologie that's similar, and I only bought it, and I call it my Julie Roberts polo dress because
sweet.
that is like probably one of my favorite outfits
There we go.
of just like all time. I mean,
Yeah.
look at that thing.
Well, this is everything has a story when you have to make clothing.
Yeah.
It just does. I needed something for her for this scene, and I wanted it to match her hair. I didn't want her to stand out like the bad girl, you know, and they could all tell that she, you know, this way she's more conservative. We worked through it. I went to every fabric shop I could go to find fabric with a rustish color. Excuse me, my lisp.
It's okay.
So I finally found it at one of the fabric stores, Beverly Silks and Woolens, near Beverly Hills, and all he had was like 5 yards. That's all of that fabric.
Yeah.
But I said I have to have it, and that's an Anne Klein belt, and the purse, the Chanel shoes. Yeah. And so anyway, I made the outfit for her, and we had just enough fabric to either make it ballerina length with the flat Chanel flats, or, you know, the regular,
T-length,
the
yeah.
dress length with the little Chanel heel. So couldn't decide, you know, and I just loved the idea of her having it, you know, shorter.
Right.
Rather than, so we put it on film. So which is better? Which is better? So this won out over the ballerina length. And then I had extra fabric for the hat band.
Oh.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Gosh, Marilyn, there are so many questions I would love to keep asking you, but I know we're kind of got to wrap up in a second here. But this has been great. I mean, wow, it's, you know, so many wonderful insights you're able to share with us. So just thank you again for coming on here.
It's my pleasure that you're interested in what really is, you know, and how things got to be the way they are.
Well, and I especially, I mean, not only because they're movies I grew up with, right? So like those are always very special to us, right?
Yeah.
And then I think just as a creator of learning all of the different ways that people create and come together, I feel like the majority of us look at a movie and we're like, oh, I love that actor, but not thinking like, well, why do you love them? You love them because they were directed in this way. You love them because they were lit this way. And then the lighting of them wearing this outfit, that is what creates this iconic character. And, you know, and obviously we don't need to ask an audience to take up, you know, they don't have to know that much about every single thing that they are taking in, but it's interesting. But that's also a testament to how well production and crew and creativity like yourself create a product, because it's so seamless that the average bird watching would not go, oh, I love this look because it's this and it's this and it's this. It's all of these elements together, and they finish a film and they're like, I'm obsessed, right? And they don't even know why. So that's a testament to being able to, you know, work with all these different people. And, you know, I certainly know, you know, working with all these different egos, and then also just being like, hey man, I'm here to do my job and do it well, and that's all I'm here to do. So
I was lucky because Julia was new.
Yeah.
So I have pictures of her with the photographer, the film photographer, in every color fabric you can think of, with different lighting, to choose the red gown, to choose the black, that lace I made for her in the beginning. Yeah, and as you notice from all the stuff she wore, pared down, just simple earrings. She wore the earring in 7 changes, you know. It's, you gotta, you know, put that personality with the character. We had to show how smart she was and how much she wanted to fit in.
Well, I think it really shows. I honestly do. And so it's just a testament to your skill as a costume designer. And it's, of course, a huge part why this is such an iconic movie. I mean, this came out, what, like 30 years ago? How long? Like, yeah. I mean, and it's still incredibly, you know, relevant today. And people reference, they quote, big mistake, huge, you know. But
because we can't, you know, when you're doing a film like that in its time, you don't want to go crazy with outrageous styles. You want to be so it lives, you know?
Yeah. I love it.
Well, we have something to say thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Can you grab them?
Yes.
I made you some flowers.
Me?
Yes. So
Stop.
I made them much more.
Oh my God.
I was kind of going
you.
off of now seeing you in person. I could have made them way more rock and roll.
Oh,
but
stop.
my influence was like Pretty in Pink and you know, Fast Times.
That's
and all
a
that
great
of like
story. We'll talk about that another time.
Yes. So just these pastels and that. So taking my own creativity off of yours and presenting
I
you with
love
something.
it. I'm going to have pictures of this, and I'll keep it forever.
Yeah.
Thank you
you so much for coming and talking to us. This has been
real.
I know, they are. Aren't they gorgeous?
They are.
They're real.
Oh, I
real?
thought you just said they aren't. And
No,
I'm
no,
going,
no,
oh my God, just touch it.
Oh no,
They're real,
they are very, very real.
It's
Yes.
so thoughtful of you. Thank you so
Well,
much.
it was such a treat having you. Everybody, please go listen to Designing Hollywood podcast to hear more about Marilyn's work and all the great designers she's worked with and all that wonderful stuff.
And we'll post all of her
All the designers.
Instagrams and
Yes.
and then you can get in touch and if this was interesting, you know, definitely check out her podcast for all of those amazing stories behind the clothes that you love so much. So you guys, that was it. We did it. More conversations by conversationalists.
Who love conversations.
Because you love conversations.
So we'll be back next Monday, same time, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. And thank you guys so much. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.